Hey guys!
Hey, friend.
Oh, it's been a while since we made a video,
It has
and things have been really crazy in our lives, and we've got a lot going
A lot
on
has happened.
behind the scenes, and we promise that we're going to bring you in on that here soon. But we've had a lot of people asking, what's going on with you guys? And so we wanted to make this quick video to give you a quick update about where we're at and what's going on and what is to come. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ready to get into it?
I think so. Ready as
my coffee's
ever.
good.
Yeah, she has coffee. So we're all good. So if you can't tell, it's a little bit echoey in here, and I'm sorry about that. We'll get to why that is here in just a little bit. Just hang tight with us. And but first, I got to give some background for those of you who might not be familiar with kind of our journey and how we got to where we are today. So in September, we will have been married 9 years. That is crazy.
Feels like longer, and it feels like yesterday.
Yeah, both at the same time. How is it even possible?
I don't know.
But it does. So yeah, super pumped about that. But when we were, right after we got married, we moved to North Carolina. And we were there for a little bit. And our prayer has really been that God would just use our lives, use our marriage to bring Him glory and to bring others to Him. And so we've had kind of a wide open, really an open book for Him to just write the story that He wants to write with our lives and with our marriage. And there's a lot that goes into that, but a whole lot. We could actually
We can't
write
put
a
that
book.
all in this video. That's many more videos to come.
Yeah. But one of the things that has been a prayer of ours is this concept of putting our yes on the table. So what that looks like is kind of saying yes to God before He even asks us anything. So it's this attitude of, God, whatever, whenever, wherever, we're going to say yes to doing your will and to doing what you've called us to do because we don't want to just live an ordinary life. We don't want to just try to make it safely to death. And we want our life to be, what?
I don't know. That was just kind of funny.
That's a Mark Batterson quote, by the way. So check out his book.
Continue.
Chase the Lion. It's a good one. So anyways, we've always kind of said, Lord, we want our prayer, our desire is to be able to put our yes on the table, and you put it on the map. You do with our lives whatever you want to do, and we're going to go ahead and say yes.
Which is both scary, but exciting.
Yeah, it is scary.
It's all
and exciting.
the emotions in
Yeah,
one.
and I wish that I could say that we've always been great at it, but typically what happens is like we'll pray that prayer and we'll say, this is our attitude, and then God really calls us on that, right? So He'll bring us to a situation, and then we are like, I don't know about this, God, and then He says,
really
what was that thing you said about your yes being on the table? Because if I'm honest, sometimes I want to pick that yes back up off the table and be like, I didn't mean to play that card. But, God has been faithful through it all. And really, it's just kind of been a journey of faith.
Yeah, it really has been. Like, just even coming here to Nashville, and if you're new to us, this is where we live.
Hence the Predators. Nashville Predators. Go Preds.
So yes, even though that's something that we haven't done yet, but it's on our bucket list.
Yeah. If anybody has season tickets and,
or just want to invite us,
you want to take us with you to a Preds game, that would be awesome.
We will go.
Yes.
But yeah, just really from the very beginning, like he said, is we have just had faith through every single stage in our life, and it's kind of funny, like we've talked about this, and we've talked about our life in chapters, and we got married in California, if you don't know that, and then we lived in North Carolina, and we moved to Arkansas, and so it's almost been like, and then from Arkansas here to Nashville, and it's almost been, each of these different states have been a different chapter, but they've all been on faith, and to the point where some of the times we didn't really even know where we were going to live. We knew this is where we were supposed to go, but we didn't know we knew God would provide. And sure enough, we were, I'm just thinking when we went from North Carolina to Arkansas, and we were literally packed up our whole house in this moving truck, and we were going, and we were like, okay, God, you have to provide a house. We know that this is where you called us to, but we need somewhere to live. And sure enough, we got a call, and we're all like, we got a house. And so
while we were on the way there.
yeah, literally driving with our truck packed with stuff. And so just little things like that. And even here in Nashville, there was a lot of people who, as far as like with the cost of living, because it's so different than Arkansas, and people were like, how are you going to afford that? And we're like, well, we can't really tell you, but we know how big God is, and we know that He is going to provide. And He has never failed us before. We've never went homeless. We've never had food. Out of food.
Yeah.
We have always had food, and just it may have been pancakes, but He has always provided. And so we kind of just look at that and we're like, wow, God, you are faithful. You do, you love your children.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we are at again. And
yeah, absolutely. So part of that, putting our yes on the table, we kind of adopted that philosophy a few years back. That mantra a few years back, and that's actually what led me to my current job with Lifeway. I had tons and tons of experience in retail and sales, but I had a heart for ministry and wanting to love and serve people and like do something for God. And I'd wrestled with the two of those things for years and years. And we got to a point where we're like, okay, God, we want to do something different. We're going to say yes to you. And God led us to Lifeway. And I didn't think I was qualified. And lo and behold, I got the job. And I thought I was going to have to go train somewhere away from my family. It turns out they trained me in the store that was literally a minute from our house.
It was so
there
nice.
in Arkansas. Yeah, so nice. And so I did my training there, and then part of the deal was that we were going to have to agree to move wherever they would need us after my training. And actually, I tried to turn down the job offer because I didn't want to say, okay, we'll move anywhere. And then that's one of those moments where God said, hey, listen, you said that you were going to say yes. And so I had to kind of, had to,
do a little self-check there.
Yeah, check that out. And by faith say, okay, God, I'm trusting that you know best, that you're going to provide, that your plan is better than any that I could ever come up with. And we said yes. And so went through the training, and the training was 8 weeks. And I think it was about 6 weeks into the training, we thought that we were going to be moving to Virginia.
Like I already was packing the house.
Yeah.
We were looking at houses.
We were looking at houses. Like
everything.
I was about to buy the plane tickets to go to Virginia to look at houses on a housing trip. And that was the plan. And in a matter of just a few days, long story short, God made a way that I got a job offer to take over the store there in the town where we were already living. And again, a minute from our house. And I had no idea. Like, I could have never even imagined.
It was the craziest thing.
Right.
You couldn't think of it.
Yeah, and it was such a great fit. I loved my time there, and it was really, really awesome to see God be faithful, even when we had to say yes before we knew how it was going to work out. And through that, it just grew our faith more and more to say that God can be trusted, that He is good, that He is faithful, and He does know what He's doing. And so, I was there for about a year and a half, and then I got a call one day saying that the store here right outside of Nashville was open, and they asked me to consider it. And this was another step that was just like really scary. And our first reaction was, no, that doesn't make sense. we don't know anybody in Nashville. We don't have any family in Nashville. It is more expensive than what we're currently doing. We're in a good church. We're in a good life group. We are comfortable. And so we wrestled with that. We went back and forth, even down to the wire of not, we had to tell them whether or not we were interested. I went through the interview process thinking, well, maybe I won't get it, and that'll make it easier. But lo and behold, they wanted me to do it. And so we had a decision to make. And one of my mentors kind of asked me this question. He said, Keith, we're called to walk by faith and not in fear. So look at these decisions and decide which one is motivated by faith and which one is motivated by fear. And man, that really helped me to see that it would have been very easy to just stay where we were comfortable, to stay where we, knew everybody and things were kind of easy. But if we would have done that, we would have missed an opportunity to grow in our faith and in our marriage. Because the truth is, guys, growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. That if you want to grow, if you want to get better, you have to do hard things and you have to get uncomfortable. And not to say that we moved just so we could be uncomfortable, but we knew that God was calling us to a step of faith. And that has really been the kind of the theme of our life and our marriage so far. And so we moved, not knowing anyone, not having any family or friends here, and came for a housing visit, didn't know where we were going to live. I was going to have to move here like 2 weeks after our housing visit. And
everything happened really, really quickly. Yeah. It was like December we found out about the job. January we came for a housing visit. He started February 1st. Yeah. And it was like, and then me and the boys moved in March, I believe, because we moved afterwards. Yes. And it was just everything was seamless. Yeah. The whole thing. And so God's hand was just all over it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we did that, and God provided this beautiful house that we're in. Everything that we wanted to go look at during our housing visit, it was gone before we could even go look. The housing market here in Nashville is crazy how fast it's growing. Things sell before they even hit the market. And so, we found this house that we had seen, I think, even before we came for our visit.
The only one that stayed on the market for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's the only one that stayed on the market, and it was just perfect for us. And we knew that God had kept it for us, and it's been so cool. And so we did that by faith, and we were trying to do God's will and be faithful here. And inevitably, sometimes, oftentimes things change, and things change without you really knowing it, and you have to pivot. And so a lot of you know that earlier this year, Lifeway, again, who I work for, decided that it was best for them to make a move to a more digital strategy, and they have decided to close all of the stores, including mine. And so this was kind of a pivot moment for us, because it was like, okay, what now? God, we feel like you called us here. You've had us here for the last year and a half, and now
what?
Things are changing. And so I've had a lot of people ask, what are you going to do next? What are your plans? What's the next job going to be? And quite honestly, we have just kind of taken the approach of we're going to let God move it and put it together. Because at first, honestly, like, I stressed out about it a little bit. I was trying to figure it out. I was, what am I going to do? How am I going to provide? How are we going to pay the bills? All these things. And it was driving me crazy. And God just, brought me to a point where it was like it is out of my control. And we have seen from time and time again that His plans are always better than our plans. His ways are better than our ways. And so I can rest in the fact that He has good plans for us, that He already has it worked out. He has the solution before we even had this problem. Yeah. And so that's kind of been our prayer.
And it's not like we moved to Nashville and God didn't know.
Yeah.
Like He knew what He was doing. Mm-hmm. And so knowing that gave me comfort, honestly, because it was like all of this wasn't for nothing. So instead of freaking out, and instead of taking that mindset to it, it's okay, God, what do you have for us here? Like, why did you call us here? How can we learn? How can we build relationships with the people around us? And how can we grow and help other people grow within where you have planted us?
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of took the approach of, instead of trying to figure it out, we're just going to focus on being obedient and being faithful to what he's called us to do each and every day.
Yeah.
So if he gives us today, if he gives us another day tomorrow, I'm going to wake up and say, okay, God, how can I be faithful today?
Yeah.
What can I do to be obedient today? Now, that doesn't mean that we don't make plans, but we're both planners, especially this one.
Yes,
But we hold those loosely, and we bring them to God in prayer, and kind of in the perspective of God's word, and with those priorities in mind. And so that kind of brings us to where we're at now. And we're kind of in a situation where our lease on this house is up at the end of this month. So my job is, I am working at my job until December 1st. But the lease on our house is up at the end of the month. So we had a decision to make on, do we sign another year's lease, but not really knowing what's going to happen when my job is over, or, we could possibly do a shorter lease, but that would increase our monthly cost. And we didn't feel like that was really the right move, but we weren't sure what was. And a couple of weeks ago, we were just kind of having a family day, just having some quiet time, and we just felt like God was moving us in a direction that we thought was crazy. My first reaction was, that's crazy, it doesn't make any sense. And so I dismissed it personally, and then it just kept coming up in my mind, and so I mentioned it to Hannah, and she said,
nope.
That's crazy. Why would...
I was like, why would we do that?
Yeah, crazy. But it seems like God knows that crazy is our love language, because he speaks it a lot.
That's his love language to us.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So that being said, the more that we thought about it, prayed about it, talked about it, we thought, this makes more sense, and we felt like that this is kind of the direction that God is leading, and it seems like things are kind of falling into place for this to happen. So with that being said, the plan is, at the end of this month, we are going to be packing up a Penske truck and moving back to Arkansas. Now, this is kind of a transition period for us. Or you can say it's kind of a shifting moment in our lives. And we feel like that this season, the stage that we're going into, is kind of laying a foundation for what God has next. But we have to go through this process first. And so what is that process? We're going to be moving back to Arkansas, but Hannah and the boys are going to be moving first. I'm going to go with them down there. And they're going to be moving on to her parents' property. They've got some land there in Arkansas, and they'll be moving on to their property. And they'll have their own space and stuff, and they'll be there. I'll come back here to Nashville, and I'll be renting a small little basement apartment from a friend until I finish my assignment with Lifeway, mid-November, early December. And so that's going to do a few things. One, it's going to help us out financially in a tremendous way. It is much more expensive to live here in Nashville than it is in Arkansas. And so with Hannah and the boys living in Arkansas, but me working here in Nashville, a larger portion of my income will be able to go to things like trying to get debt-free. Ooh, Dave Ramsey! So...
Shout out.
That was improv. Going
but it's true.
to pay off some debt, to build up our savings. Like I said, to prepare for what God has for us next.
And we don't know. We really don't know what that is. But we do see God's hand at work. And just like we've seen with all these other times, like even thinking back when we were moving here, we didn't know we were moving here, but we also kind of had this feeling on our heart, like God was stirring something. So I actually was going through stuff, and I'm glad I did, because little did we know, 2 months later, he'd be moving here. So it's kind of been that same scenario.
And the same is true for the situation with Lifeway. Even the week before these announcements came down, I really felt that God was stirring something in my spirit, and there was just this this angst where I knew like that I felt like God was moving my heart to something different, but I didn't know what that was, and I didn't feel like I could just walk away, but my heart was moving. And we've seen that time and time again, that God stirs in our hearts and moves our spirits, prepares us, and then we understand why later. And we feel like that's the same thing here, that he is leading, that this is our next right step. And so we're going to take that in faith. Now, I will be, Lord willing, going back and forth to Arkansas, hopefully every other weekend. So it's not like I'm just going to say adios.
Well, and I'm coming back too, because I have photo shoots and conferences and stuff that.
So we'll still see each other. We've got FaceTime, we've got ways to stay connected, but we'll see each other. So it's not like we're just not going to see each other for 3 or 4 months. For our friends in Arkansas, we are excited to see you guys more often. We're excited to be there.
Let me know if you need pictures.
Yeah, Hannah's going to jump right back into doing photography. I know she's got a lot of awesome clients there.
I can't wait to hug your faces. I'm so excited.
Well, I would hope you wouldn't hug their faces.
Okay, hug their body. You know what I mean.
Get hard to breathe.
Okay.
Hug your neck.
Y'all get my point.
That's what we say in the South. Hug your neck.
I'm from California.
She's from California. Y'all help her out. Hug your neck, okay?
Whatever.
Oh, bless your heart. That is why you hear the echo. We have been actively selling a lot of what we have.
Everything.
We are sitting in camping chairs right now, which is really cool.
Actually,
yeah, we're pretty chill. But
we want to bring you guys along the journey, and so that's part of the reason why we made this video, and we really want to continue this and really kind of make a whole channel out of this and just bring you guys along our crazy journey, because God likes to do some crazy things in our life. And
I'll say this, this whole, social media, YouTube thing, it is not at all about us. It is not about the Capps family. It is not about that our lives are really anything special. Our hope and our prayer is that we would just be a small glimpse into what God can do when you are all in, willing to walk by faith. And so if you don't get anything else out of our videos, we hope that you will get that God is good, God is faithful, and that he loves us so much. And we would ask that you guys would pray for us. It's going to be an interesting few months for sure.
But we're bringing you along.
We're going to bring you along the journey, and we'll keep you updated. We're quickly losing light here, so we're going to get off of here. But hey, thanks so much for watching. We really appreciate all you guys. And
be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Yeah. All the things. I don't know. We're new to this, but we want you. But we want you along on our journey. So.
Yeah. If you have any questions, write us.
You can follow us on Instagram at the Capps Family.
Apps the Cat. Yeah, Apps the Cat.
Apps the Cat.
At the Capps Family.
Here's some coffee.
Guys, thanks so much for watching. Talk to you later.
Bye, friends.
Bye.